Guys, the tea is hot. The tea is hot. Well, it's actually coffee, but you get what I mean, right? This is gonna be an interesting video, guys, because Respawn has messed up. No, not Respawn as a whole. The funny thing is that if one person, or if one dev, or if one, person who is representing Respawn does something bad, it just reflects negatively on Respawn as a whole, which is unfair, because this might not even be the view, or like the view of everybody at Respawn, or how people at Respawn actually carry about themselves. But it just looks bad, even if it's just one person from Respawn doing this. I don't want to beat around the bush too much, because you guys most likely know exactly what I'm coming to talk about. But this is to deal with Caustic. As we all know, Caustic was recently announced to be getting a buff in the new Fight Night Collection event update, and for some reason that just didn't really go across well. I mean, I understand why. I mean, I think Caustic right now is in a great place. I don't think Caustic should be on the list of priorities for Respawn. I feel like legends like Loba, Rampart, and just other legends really should be Octane. What about Octane? Where's Octane's buff? I feel like Respawn needs to focus on different legends, and Caustic is not really one that needs to be focused on, at least not right now. So this is where things got interesting, right? Because there was a dev at Respawn, and not just any dev. This is the lead game designer at Respawn, Daniel Klein. I've mentioned his name in so many different videos because he has a lot of influence. He is the lead game designer, right? Keep that in mind. He was basically just explaining, what was the process of deciding to buff Caustic, and here's what he said over on Twitter, right? It's a whole long thread on Twitter. I'll leave the link down below, but here's what he said that kind of like, sparked this whole conversation. He said, this Caustic, buff was super easy to do. It took me about 10 minutes to do and verify, and 2 to 3 playtests to convince me it wouldn't hurt the game. And Caustic is in fact one of the weakest characters in the game. Alright, so this kind of upset people, right? Because first of all, it said it took him 10 minutes to do this, which is kind of, I don't know, I just feel like buffing a legend would take more time, especially a legend like Caustic, who is already so deadly and so effective if you know how to use him. I feel like 10 minutes isn't enough to really, get a very good buff for Caustic done. But that's just me. I don't make games, so I can't really, say if that's good or bad. I just have a feeling about, just 10 minutes. He also said that Caustic is in fact one of the weakest characters in the game, which kind of worries me, because as somebody who actually plays Apex a lot, I think I'm above average in this game sometimes. I feel like even when I play Caustic, the game just becomes, I won't say it becomes easier, guys, but if I play Caustic the way he's meant to be played, he's very dangerous. He's very, very deadly. He stops teams from pushing. He can revive teammates in the gas. He's a very, very, very deadly legend right now in pubs, in ranked. He's just very good, I won't say he's, one of the weakest characters in the game. So understandably so, this tweet was very controversial, right? And one of the, well, not one of the biggest, the biggest pro player right now, Imperial Hal, TSM Imperial Hal, responded basically with a meme from The Office that was basically just saying like, no, no, this is not true. This is false. And this is where things began to go downhill, guys, because Daniel Klein basically said this, right? I'll kind of like read the tweets in order for you guys. He said, this is why I'm getting flooded with notifications on my last day of vacation. Thanks, Hal. And Hal responded and said, you were flooded before I even showed up, pretty sure. I was getting a trickle, went to bed with about 10 notifications, woke up with around 200. You do have a large and passionate fan base. I know it sucks, but if you want to be responsible, you gotta think what your fans will do before you post. Great power, great responsibility. Alright guys, so let me just pause it right there and just give my opinion real quick on what just took place. I feel like Hal has a right to respond to these kind of tweets from devs, because he is a pro player, right? And he does have influence, and I think the devs should actually, welcome that. Like, they should be interested in pro players giving their feedback and stuff. Yes, Hal has a very big audience, and yes, he should also be like, just aware of that. But in this case, he didn't do anything wrong. All he basically said was he doesn't agree with this change, which is fine. So yeah, I don't feel like Hal did anything wrong right here, because that's kind of like his role as a pro player right now. So yeah, that's fine by me. This is where things get really interesting, and to me it just looks extremely bad on Respawn's end. And the lead game designer at Respawn should not be saying these kind of things over on Twitter, right? So what he said to Hal was, this is you refusing to take responsibility. I can't tell you how to wield your influence, but if you honestly think in 2020 someone with nearly 100k followers can't cause harm by simply chiming into a controversial topic, I don't know what to tell you. This to me just sounds weird. Like, it just sounds really strange coming from a lead game designer at a company like Respawn. I mean, Hal has no responsibility in this situation, guys. Like, all he basically did or signified was that he doesn't agree with a change that a game developer, publicized, which to me is fine. Like, everyone does this. Content creators are supposed to do this. Pro players are supposed to do this, right? So what's the issue? I think that Daniel Klein in this situation, he's kind of like in denial because he's just realizing that for some reason, no one agrees with this caustic change, and he's upset because everyone is just saying this. No, let's make this very clear, because I might get some backlash for this video. I completely have respect for Respawn. I have a lot of respect for Respawn. I think Respawn is a very, very talented game developer, right? It just sucks because the actions of one person at Respawn, the lead game designer, can negatively impact the entire reputation of the company as a whole, and it's a bad look. Like, this to me just doesn't look good, and it also doesn't make any sense. Now, it doesn't stop there. It also kind of gets worse, because Daniel Klein then said in response to somebody else, "Please tell me to be a responsible adult and not post a standalone tweet," further explaining the objective data point that made the nerds so upset just so they can scream into the void some more. People got upset because he was basically calling, everyone who plays his game and supports this game nerds in a kind of, like, I would say, a negative way or demeaning way. So I understand why people got upset as well because of that comment, right? And to me, guys, this whole situation is way too messy. To me, it doesn't make sense. I think the dev just took this way too far, because everyone who plays this game seriously knows that Caustic is in a very good place, right? And I think the dev getting this kind of feedback right now is just, it's good. Like, it should tell them that, maybe Caustic doesn't need to get buffed. So yeah, this just wasn't a very good look for Respawn. I mean, Daniel Klein took this way too far. As I said, it was not serious. He just needs to, like, listen to the community right now and admit that maybe this change is not what Apex needs. I always say this, right? But data shows one thing, and actually playing the game shows something else, right? I don't know. Obviously, the pro players and content creators are a minuscule. Like, we make up a very small portion of the community and the player base, but I feel like making Caustic even stronger just because his stats may not seem too good right now isn't a really good, excuse. That's just my thoughts. That's just my thoughts. But what do you guys think about this whole situation? Pros actually came to Hal's defense. His teammate Snipedong basically said, "Pretty sure this is you refusing to take responsibility for rushing a change," then coming to Twitter and bragging it only took 2 to 3 games to decide the buff was a good idea in what I'm assuming was a low-level playtest. Then Daltush said, "Cannot believe he actually said that to Hal." So it's just a really messy situation right now, guys. And as I said, right, I agree with the pros in this instance right here. I feel like all the dev really had to do was just take this in stride and just kind of, like, listen to the community and not so much fight back. Because this is the lead game designer at Respawn. This isn't just like any regular dev. He is the lead game designer. So it's a very big deal. It looks bad to me, and yeah. Hopefully this doesn't happen too much in the future, because as I said, it's not a very good look. And yeah, we should have a more, I would say, positive and constructive relationship between us and the devs. So that's my thoughts right now, guys. What do you think about this current situation? Let me know your thoughts. I read all of my comments, and yeah, that's it for me today. I'll see you guys in some more Apex. Till next time. This guy is running. Yes, sir. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's how we do it, guys. That's a really good game. Let's go. 3K. 3K.